All right, we're here with part 3 of the struggles of modern dating from a shy romantic. We got Myra West talking about her struggles with dating.
Yeah, so an example is I went on a first date with someone and we actually went on a hike. Don't yell at me. Not supposed to be alone with men. I don't know, it was fine. We went on a hike and
Yeah, going on a hike's totally fine. Um, get pepper spray. Like, if you live in Canada, it's illegal, but get like dog spray or something. Get a way to protect yourself. Let people know where you are. There's ways around that, but a hike is a great date in certain ways. I wouldn't say great, but it's like okay. Typically, you want to walk somewhere that's nice to walk. And if you don't live in a city, a lot of times you're going to be limited to like a hike in the park or wherever. So it's complicated, but very doable, and it's totally an okay way to date. Because you're there, you're doing something, and you're talking to each other, enjoying each other's company.
near the end, he lunged at me. Like, no. I was sitting next to him and everything was fine. We were having pleasant, friendly conversation and everything was good. And then all of a sudden, he tries to kiss me. And it's a first date. Which, ugh.
Yeah, this sounds 100% normal. This is what happens on a first date when it goes well. I don't see what your frustration is. You're acting wildly outside of the social norm.
This hasn't actually happened a lot because I never put myself in those situations, but I have a mix of emotions and none of them are positive about that. Like, it's totally fine. Totally fine and okay if there are women who enjoy having a first kiss on a first date. That's totally fine, no judgment. But I am not that person and I never will be, ever. I will never kiss someone on the first date. That is so intimate and intense and crazy to imagine.
I don't see how that's intimate or intense. I feel like I'm confused because she's had a boyfriend before, so why would it be so intimate and intense? I don't really understand that. Does she know that mainstream society doesn't see it that way at all? That's why, the amount of people I've kissed outside of the context of a first date, like just hey, we're at a party and we're drunk. Like, I've been kissed by random women at parties and stuff, at bars, or I've just chatted somebody up at the bar and it led to this thing or that thing. So it's like, well, what? Like, you're talking about a first date where the entire goal here of the date is to end it on a kiss. And you're acting like that's wildly outrageous. Why is it so intimate to you? I'm very confused here. I'm actually like, this is one of the most confusing things I've ever heard because it's so abnormal, and she's talking about it like it's normal.
Imagine kissing someone who you've known for like 1 hour. I don't get it. There's too many people on this path. Another thing is, I think that men are looking to get physically intimate way sooner than I want to. Like,
That's the thing. That's another thing. It's like, I don't know. What's the issue? I'm very confused.
things like kissing and being physically intimate, I'm happy to do, and like more than happy. Like, I want it and love it later.
We got the brand new iPhone.
I think basically I rollerbladed more and got my thoughts together. It comes down to I think I'm not what men are expecting. I'm not what they bargained for. So when they swipe on me on a dating app, I'm aware that I look relatively pretty. And I think they're expecting something from my face. They expect me to be a specific way. And I end up being awkward, shy, socially anxious, nervous.
That's a you problem. That's a you problem. The problem isn't them, it's you. That's the part that confuses me the most, is she keeps talking as though it's like these men or like dating apps in general are the issue here, when they're not. The issue is entirely you. It's you who's acting wildly outside of the social norm here. I would really hope that in the comments of your videos people are kind of pointing that out to you, because otherwise they're not being honest.
Not flirty in the least, and I refuse to be. I hate flirting. I hate it. I don't know how to do it. I hate it. I don't even know the purpose. I think flirting is so stupid. I think it's so stupid. I really think it's the stupidest thing, because
Oh my god.
what's the purpose? Like, you're supposed to be super, like they tell you, you're supposed.
The purpose is to build an attraction, to build a connection, to vibe check each other. You need to like have that attraction. You need to suss out each other's vibe in order for there to really be a shot of a relationship working. It's like you want the relationship and then all of the stuff that would genuinely help determine compatibility in that relationship, right? Like, it's kind of shocking because how like if I went out with you and we don't kiss on the first date, I'm gonna be like, well, she ain't into me. This is what was like disaster. And to not even flirt, to not even have those vibes is crazy. Like, I can't even imagine going on a date and there not being flirting. I've gone on dates where clearly the person that I'm on a date with doesn't want to go on a second date with me, and I also clearly don't want to go on a second date with them. But even within that context, there's tons of flirting because we both just want to have a good time. Like, we already bothered going out, even though we knew we'd probably never talk to each other again, never see each other again, and we never did. It's like, hey, let's have a good time. Let's make the best of the situation. We're incompatible, but whatever. And it's a function that, like, it doesn't just serve you in dating. For like, I feel like it's such a core part of dating that it almost like dating can't really exist without flirting. But it also like extends itself way outside of the realm of dating. It exists in friendships, in collaboration, teamwork, stuff like that, right? Like there's flirting that just naturally occurs, right? Like if you're a flirtatious person, you can end up flirting with people actually entirely unintentionally. I'm that type of person. I've flirted with plenty of people without even knowing I was doing it. And it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by it. Well, that's actually only occurred to me once, where it's like, oh, I was flirting with you. It's usually in the context of I'm in a relationship with somebody, and she introduces me to her friends or something, and I care to get to know her friends and have a good time, and them have a good time, and us all get to know each other. That's why we're here. That's why you're introducing me to your friends. And I'm just too friendly. I'm just too flirty. I'm naturally flirtatious, and it gets me in trouble in those situations. But outside of that, friendships relationships outside of romantic relationships, flirtation can be a huge thing, right? There's a movie called I Love You, Man, where who is it? It's like Jason Segel is talking to, I think Paul Rudd's in the movie. He's talking to, I think it's Andy Samberg plays Paul Rudd's brother, if I'm remembering correctly. And he's talking about flirting with other men, and his brother's gay, and he points out, he's like, dude, guys flirt with each other all the time, and they kind of do, right? It's kind of different than a romantic on a date flirting, but they're still flirting. It's different, but it's not that different. Like you rizz up people outside of the context of dating.
Supposed to be super fun.
So developing that, not developing Riz doesn't only just help you in your dating life. It actually helps you in your workplace, in your personal friendships. It's a great skill to develop.
And flirty on a first date. But if you're looking for your husband, you're looking for that person who's going to stick by you no matter what. And you're going to stick by them no matter what. But you're looking for that ride or die person. You're looking for the person who's going to see you at your worst. And the person who you are going to be committed to for the next, lifetime. Your entire lifetime.
Is she suggesting that because, first of all, you're outrageous to assume that people instantly in dating, especially in modern dating, that people are instantly looking for long-term marriage right away. People typically aren't, especially with, you're 26 here. People aren't looking to jump right into a marriage right away. I understand what you're, I guess, trying to say is that, hey, you want me if you want to be with me permanently, you're going to have to deal with me at my worst, so I'm going to show you my worst and most abrasive immediately. It's a bold strategy. It's a strategy that isn't working for you. It's kind of funny. Hey, I'm going to be as awful as I can. I'm going to be as closed off and distant and cold to anyone I go on a date with, so they're prepared for when it happens down the road. But that is wild. That's actually so wild. Wow. Crazy. But people aren't going to go on, people aren't looking to just marry you. Dating is way more complicated than that. And you shouldn't be going into dating looking for marriage. You've dated one person in your whole life. You don't even know what you want out of a partner, what you want out of a marriage. You have no clue what you want out of a relationship. Experience some relationships. You'll have a way better idea. It's like you just expect this perfect man to show up for you to jump into a marriage with him, a long-term relationship that leads to a marriage, and everything's just going to be gravy. That's a bad plan. That's a terrible plan.
So to me, flirting is so shallow and fake. It's so fake. I'm really mad.
How is it fake? You realize, most people enjoy life. They enjoy the company of others. They enjoy rizzing each other up. They enjoy being rizzed up themselves. It's a very enjoyable, non-fake experience for people. Why, I feel like she said at the start of this video she thinks about men all the time, but in what context? It sounds like you're not attracted to men. You're not actually, you don't actually want to date at all. You're not even into the very premise of dating. The flirting is one of the most fun parts. It's just flattery. You could say there's an element of fakeness, right? Some people take it too far, for sure. If on a first date, if I'm saying you're the most beautiful woman on the planet, that's not true. That's blatantly untrue. But so there's fakeness within it, but it's not like there's sincerity in the fakeness, right? Because like even if we went on a date and I said something like that, you could say, oh, that's fake, he's saying this to get in my pants. And maybe that's partially true, but it's also the case where you are attractive and I do want to date you. I do want things to progress forward. And yeah, hooking up is part of that, but it's also like flirting, like I said, it exists so far outside of just romantic dating that it's enjoyable even in all these other contexts, even as a totally isolated thing. Like, I remember one time just flirting with this random chick. What was it? I was at a casino, and I asked this woman if she wanted to go get a coffee. She said, I got a boyfriend, or else you know I would. And she was like being nice, and she was being nice in the form of flirtation, and it made me feel good. And we talked for a minute, you know. And I shot her some compliments, she shot me some compliments, and we went our separate ways. Now, was she just being nice? Probably. Was she 100% serious? Like, I don't know. Like, well, whatever. Who cares? It like, not things being fake and being real. It's not just black and white. The lines are incredibly blurred. There's almost the shades of gray make up most of the cloud.
I think like a lot of people view dating as like just something to do for fun, and like they view the other person as just like someone to hang out with and have a fun time with. And I'm not, like, I was about to say I'm not that, but I am that. I am fun.
You're not, though. You hate flirting passionately. You think it's the stupidest thing ever. That sounds like you're really not fun in a lot of ways. And flirting it's not just a thing. Like I said, it exists amongst straight men. Straight men flirt with each other on a regular basis. Straight women flirt with each other on a regular basis. It's normal. It's like a normal function of socializing. In a relationship, in a long-term relationship, you continue flirting. It doesn't just end. It's not just like a thing that happens for a couple of months in dating. No, like it continues. It's you literally said at the start of this video that you want a partner who prioritizes love. Flirting is an expression of love and attraction and connection. And so is like affection and kissing. I don't know how you're like totally overlooking that.
It just doesn't work in this kind of scenario. Like, I would give anything to meet my husband as a friend first. I would give anything to make it happen that way. I don't know.
That is a terrible strategy. Terrible. Because even outside of that, you like the fact that you described hating flirting and like you're terrified to even talk to men. And you, in your other video, you said you don't talk to men. You basically don't communicate with men whatsoever. That means you're kind of very abrasive towards men in general. So even in the context of them being like friends with you, you're going to be very off-putting, very abrasive. Men are going to avoid being friends with you. Because what you're doing is you're actually, by doing that, by being that way, by refusing to be fun and flirty. And again, like if you're overtly flirty, that's going to be a big turn off to men. But you're making it so men can't really be friends with you. They don't want to be friends with you because you're expressing that you don't want to be friends with them. And I'm not talking about major flirting. I'm talking about like maybe saying like, oh, you know, that's a clean shirt. Those shoes look nice. The occasional like slight complimenting that shows like, hey, I appreciate you as a friend. And it sounds like that would just never happen with you, which is wild, right? Like, there's plenty of women that I'm friends with, and guess what? Like, I'll explain my friendships with women. Now, there's some totally platonic. Most of them, though, have some element of flirtation at some point. Like, it's gonna happen, right? Where it's like, I've given a compliment to one of them, or there's just a vibe. There's some kind of flirtatious vibe going on. There's something there. That's just the reality, right? And there's plenty of I'm friends with women, not like actively we hang out all the time, but friends with women where we've gone on dates, or maybe we've even hooked up in the past. And that's fine, right? Like, that's just how it is, right? Like, it'd be weird for me to have the number of women friends that I have and to have never flirted with any of them. That'd be very weird. I think that would weird those women out. Like, it would be incredibly strange. It would probably offend them, right? Like, think about this scenario. You're friends with a woman, and she hangs out. Like, all right, we're hanging out, and she comes over and she's wearing like pants that are painted on. Meaning pants that are like incredibly ridiculously tight, or like she's dolled up for some reason just to hang out with you. You ain't gonna compliment at all? That's crazy. That's crazy to not like bother with the baseline like expectation of a friendship, to be like, hey, like, you look good. Even if it's like completely platonic, even if you're saying it in a way that like expresses like, hey, you look good. I don't give a crap that you look good. We ain't ever gonna date. I don't like you in that kind of way. Like, you can express that vibe without actually saying those words. It's just a vibe, man. Like, you're this idea that you're gonna find this perfect guy and you're gonna be friends with him for some amount of time, and then that's gonna advance into a relationship. This whole idea is crazy, because I don't even think you could possibly sustain a friendship with there being zero flirtation. I don't even know. I've seen stuff like, there's a show called Rehearsal with Nathan Fielder is the guy. He did the show Nathan For You. He's done a lot of stuff. He's in the movie Blackberry. Or no, I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of Jay Baruchel. But no, Nathan Fielder, he does Nathan For You. Sorry. But he does this show Rehearsal, and where you has people rehearse for real life interactions with other people in real life scenarios. So he has this guy who's very socially awkward, who does trivia, with a regular group of friends. They go and they do trivia, and this guy was lying about some kind of credential, like one of his education. He didn't get this level of degree. It was actually this level of degree, and he'd been lying about it for years, and he wanted to tell his like trivia friend about it. And insane show. Check it out. It's called Rehearsal, HBO show. But as you can imagine, this trivia nerd, and the trivia nerd that he is telling wants to tell that he's lying about his educational background, that their friendship is awkward. These are two very socially awkward individuals, and I'm sure there's an ocean of awkwardness in their friendship. That friendship, I guarantee you, on a somewhat semi-regular basis, flirtation happens. Platonically, you're going to compliment each other. You're going to flirt. It just naturally occurs. Like I described, it literally happens to me with people. without me even attempting it.
Know how to do that. Like, it is never, I don't know if it's ever happened where I've met a potential suitor or like a perfect person in any sort of friend way. So anyway, okay. So about dating, like, I said a long time ago, and I meant it, that I was never gonna like online date again, and I wasn't going to app date.
Now, what she just mentioned about a perfect person, she mentioned in her other video about a guy just riding up on a horse. A knight in shining armor, if you will. Now, there's a knight in shining armor in folklore. He's in the movie Shrek. Now, this guy's name is Prince Charming. He's kind of like the same thing as the knight in shining armor. The thing about Prince Charming is that he's charming. He charms people. How does he do that? Flirtation and riz. So, like, it's so funny that you have the, like, perspective that, like, flirtation is this completely useless, stupidest thing ever, when it's, like, fundamental to human interaction.
But I'm always conflicted because there's something wrong with there's something wrong with just sitting back and waiting for something to happen to you. Because that's kind of what I've been doing overall, is just like waiting to meet the one, which I thought was gonna happen. I thought it was gonna happen. Like, it happens for everyone, right? Like, most people get married, and most people get married pretty young. Like,
those people go on dates. Those people don't do the things you're describing. And most of those marriages that happen really young, they end in divorce. They end in disaster. Because these people never figured out how they want to exist in a relationship, how they exist in a relationship, how they want to exist in a relationship, how their partner exists in a relationship, what they prioritize. They haven't even figured that out, and they're like already getting married. That's how people end up getting married 3, 4, 5 times. It's because at least they're doing it through experience. It's wild to keep getting married. It's expensive. But at least they're like putting themselves out there. They're dating different people. They're gaining that experience and finding out about themselves and other people, right? What you've described is you think flirting is the dumbest thing ever, and you don't talk to men. You're terrified to talk to men. So of course you're not married. Like, what? People outside of me must have told you this at some point. Like, well, yeah, of course you're not married if that's your viewpoint on dating and interacting with men.
Like, so I realized, or I decided, that it was the wrong way to do it, to just sit and wait for someone to come along, because that's not working. And so I decided to like take things into my own hands. And if I want to be in a relationship, or if I want to meet that person, I have to go out and find them. So that's what I've been doing, and I tried, and now I'm completely frustrated again because I'm realizing that people on dating apps, a lot of them don't even seem to be looking for love, or they don't want to do it in the same way. Look at this. Okay.
Yeah. Another thing I should mention, men, is like men have to go for the kiss on the first date. Even if you decline it. It's like insulting. Most women are going to take that as a huge slap in the face if the man doesn't try to kiss them. Right? Like that's like the biggest indicator to a woman that this guy is not into you, that it didn't go well. It's him not trying to kiss you. Right? Like, regardless of you accepting or declining that kiss, the guy has to go for it. That's like one of the core rules of dating. The only time a guy should not do that is if it's like clearly a disaster. If everything you talk about, you have complete opposite viewpoints, right? Like what I'm saying, where it's like You should try to save it, still try to have a good time. Act like, treat it as though you are trying to get a friendship, but you don't actually want to be friends with this person, but you're pretending like you will for the evening, for the rest of the night or whatever. You're going to have a good time, make a good day of it, get to know somebody, enjoy their company. Outside of that, though, the only time that a guy should ever be not going for a kiss is if he's very experienced with dating and he knows that he will get a second date. Then it can build a lot of anticipation and attraction by not going for it. But that's only if you're like, if it went so well and there's a big flirtation, big connection, big like energy, right? Like where it's genuinely subverting her expectation and probably quite surprising to her that you didn't kiss her, right? Because then you leave her wanting more, and she's gonna feel that connection. She's gonna feel that you want to kiss her, but you didn't go for it. And in doing that, you have to like otherwise express that you want to go on a second date, right? And outright say it. Say, I had a really great time. I want to go out with you again. Say that to her, but then don't go for the kiss. Make her feel like this is that time, that moment at the end of the date where it's time to go for the kiss. You want to like non-verbally express through your body language, like, hey, kiss. And you're probably going to get a hug from her, realistically. Like you can give her a big shoulder hug and just not kiss her, right? And she's probably going to look at you expectedly, kind of expecting that kiss. And guess what? It'll actually work out well when you don't give it to her.
So I'm really behind on how dating works, and I don't want to date the way that most people want to date, I think, where it gets too romantic and too physical too quickly.
So you want some bizarre pseudo dating? What I don't understand is you talk about dating apps. The thing about dating apps, if you don't know, is you DM each other on there. And oftentimes, my experience, that's led to DMing outside, where it's like they give me their Instagram or Facebook or phone number, and then we talk more, especially if it's someone who lives like a town over. Sometimes you can talk for quite a bit before you actually meet in person. So in that time, that's what you should be trying to do here, is building that friendship that you're looking for before you go on the date. You can get to know somebody before ever actually meeting them in person. Like most people today have dated someone online. Most people have dated someone online who they never ever ended up meeting in person. They probably dated somebody online where they were dating online for like a year plus before they met in person. And like me personally, I've built incredibly strong connections with people through DMing, getting to know each other that way. And building that attraction. Usually it's hard to build like a friendship, right? It's kind of a weird context because typically, especially if you met through a dating app, then you're DMing. There's still like a romantic, casual dating, like context to it that's unavoidable, and it's there. And usually that just leads to like sexting and stuff. Again, there's not like a big problem with that, right? I don't know how well it would work for you because you hate flirting so passionately, but there is ways to like build friendships online. People are doing it all the time. Get into something online. Like play an online game. I don't know. There's ways to do it. There's ways to build a friendship with somebody in an online context. And then if the connection grows, then you can date in person.
Basically, this was another thing that I wish. I realized that the way that I fantasize about love and about finding that person, I hate to say could be unrealistic, but before I say unrealistic, I am...
It's wildly unrealistic. It is like supremely unrealistic. What you're describing is nowhere close to reality. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. But you ain't gonna find what you're looking for without major change.
am out there. I always tell myself this.
And by major change, I mean totally changing your perspective as well as the methods that you're going about.
Like when I start to feel hopeless, I say, well, I'm here and I'm here in the world. And there's one of me and there has to be more than one. Like just the fact that there's me, there's pretty much there's nothing in the world where there's just one of it. And in psychology, you learn that everything is grouped together. Like there's groups of everything. Even the weirdest like fetish or something, there's thousands of people who...
Oh God. It's a funny example. She said this in her other video that like there's her ideal partner is somebody who's exactly like her. That's crazy. And like this hypothesis I'm developing with her that she doesn't actually want to date, it's kind of furthered by that. I feel like she only really wants to date herself. Like she's basically what she's describing is like the male version of herself. All that means is that you want to date yourself, right? Like that's crazy. That's like there might be more going on with you than you are even aware of is going on with you. That's what I would say to somebody who's describing that they don't want to date anybody unless that person is like a perfect, like a copy of them, a clone of them. That's yikes. I'm trying not to be judgmental, and I'm genuinely saying this to help you. What you're describing is that, and that ain't normal. Like that is even if you could make that, even if you could clone yourself but male or find somebody who's exactly like you, it probably ain't gonna go very well. In fact, it's probably you're probably just gonna get annoyed with yourself, with this copy of yourself, and it's probably gonna bring out the worst in you and that other person, right? Like you and me are wildly different people. Right? I mean, we're not that different. I like going for hikes. I like talking about stuff at length, which you're doing. But like we have very different experiences and viewpoints. I'm also quite shy and quiet. But I understood for ever since I was a kid pretty well. Like I really like women. I like this thing. I like women. It's a crazy statement, but it's true. Shocking. So, I have dated a bunch of women. I like women. So, I prioritize that, right? Like, I want a family. I want a long-term stable relationship with somebody who prioritizes love and teamwork and helping each other accomplish our goals and having a fun, fulfilling, happy life and is supportive and awesome, right? So I understand that I need to find that in a person. It's not like the world, it's not society's issue to supply that to me. It's my issue to go out and find that. And if I don't find that, that's kind of more so me lacking than anything else. But even within that, I would never want to date somebody who's totally just like me, because I want somebody who's mostly like me, but I want somebody who takes me out of my comfort zone in some ways, not every way, but in some ways, and helps me to grow and develop as a person. I don't want them to fundamentally change me or want to change me. And I don't want somebody who I need to like drastically change, right? Like you've talked here about women who are easy and like super flirtatious and outgoing. I don't want somebody like that. I would want to change that aspect of somebody if they were like that. Like, not, that sounds crazy, but I would want them to like calm that down. Especially, well, if they are flirtatious, like very flirtatious with everybody, then yeah, that's it. That's a problem. I would want that to like not be a thing. But yeah, it would be on me.
Are in that category, even if you think that it's just you. So anyway, that's a weird example, but for me it's that I'm romantic and I value love more than anything in the world, and I am looking for a very specific thing and a specific kind of relationship, and it's not for everyone, and I'm learning that it's not what everybody is looking for, even in like a relationship scenario. Like, not everybody is looking for what I'm looking for.
Yes, you've hit the nail on the head there. Your idea of love is way outside of the norm. Way outside of the norm. Your hatred of flirting and kissing on the first date, when that's like normal, that's the expectation of a good first date, is it end in a kiss? That's a very basic expectation. I don't know. I can't pinpoint the exact type of love that you're looking for. So it's very hard to give any advice on how to find it, because it's very, very outside of the norm. But just in like just in your weird specificity of it, like these very exacting things that you're kind of making black and white. Generally, what you're saying, though, makes a lot of sense. And that's, in fact, what men are looking for. They just want to have a partner who loves them and is supportive and awesome and wants to have fun and do stuff together. Like, men aren't complicated, right? Like, we're really not. All we want is a good-looking woman who's, like, supportive and doesn't, like, bring us down and, like, is fun. That's it. That's literally it. That alone will make a man insanely satisfied with life. Just being with a woman who's like a positive vibe is going to cause a man to accomplish more than you ever would have expected.
So what was I saying from all of that? I was saying, oh yeah, what I'm looking for is, to me, I thought this the other day, that it's like a very innocent kind of love. Like a very, very pure, innocent child love.
Whoa. Relax. Immature is the word you're looking for, and probably the wording you should have used there.
And I wonder if that means something's wrong with me. I don't think so, but this is what I mean. That you can spend time together for weeks. Not weeks straight, not every day, but for weeks or even months. You know this person, you get to know this person, you spend time together, you do all the cute things together, and you move incredibly slowly in the romance and physical side. This isn't coming from a religious standpoint at all. This is coming from me, like what I want.
That's what I'm kind of surprised hasn't popped up yet, because most of these videos where women talk about struggling with dating, it's religion is the cause, and like romantic comedies. So I was kind of expecting that to happen, and it hasn't happened so far. But yeah, what you are describing is an incredibly immature form of love, and that sounds awful. But like, I'm gonna be honest, what you just described sounds awful, because how people express love is through like expressing that positivity, that appreciation, that flirt, which part they do that through like flirtation, compliments, being there for somebody, building that connection, which is like both mental and physical. I couldn't imagine spending weeks with you and there being no like physical expression of the like love that's developing. That would cause what I'm gonna coin as emotional blue balls, right? Because the emotional part is tied into the physical part, right? That's how a lot of that emotion is expressed physically. It is like it would be so insane. Like say like her and I lived in the same town and we dated for 3 weeks or whatever she's saying. 3 weeks. And we see each other most of the time in those 3 weeks. I would be incredibly annoyed if there was like if we didn't at least like spend a night together. I'm not saying like sex needs to happen, but to not even like cuddle, to not even like stay up late and talk, to not hold hands, to not kiss at least a little bit, I'd be like, what the hell? What's happening here? This person isn't showing affection towards me, and they're stopping me from showing affection towards them. This person just wants to be friends. There's nothing romantic here. That, like, if someone expressed, right, on a first date, they don't kiss on the first date, they're not affectionate on the first date, they're just not that way, that's fine. But if you're not that way weeks into dating, like, because if you're hanging out most of the week, let's say 4 days a week, you see each other to some extent for 4 days a week, for 3 weeks, holy, like, that's a lot. That's the equivalent. Say like regular dating, you start a relationship with somebody, it's normal where you see them like once a week at first, and maybe twice a week, once maybe twice a week, right? So that's like almost the equivalent of like normal dating somebody for 2 months. 2 months of dating someone and there's like zero affection. I can't even like imagine anyone being able to endure that. Because like I said, you're just gonna feel blocked up. You're gonna want to express that those feelings that you have, that connect. You want to outwardly express the connection that you're building, and you're just blocking that person from being able to express that whatsoever. And it doesn't mean you have to have sex, but I mean, there's gotta, like, I can't imagine that and not like being able to like hold the person and kiss them and like, you know, cuddle and all that. It's just crazy. It's just I can't even begin to imagine it. It sounds awful, realistically. That's just how I see it, and I think that's how a lot of people see it. And this isn't a new thing. A lot of people are like, "Oh, this is a modern thing. This is because of dating apps, because of social media." No, then why are there guys who are experiencing exactly this, and that I know personally who've experienced this, whether it be in the 1970s, the 1980s, the 1990s, huh? Like, this isn't just this like brand new thing. Dating really hasn't changed all that much. Literally, all that's happened is the internet just allows us to connect with more people and find more dates quicker. So I'll cut that off there. This is part 3. We're only halfway through the video. I think I might upload this and what I have so far and call it a night, and then tackle this another day because there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, it's interesting so far. I subscribe to you, Myra West, and yeah, I like your videos so far. You like, even though you have some pretty outlandish ideas, what you describe as like a childish view of love, I really like that. What you are looking for is someone who prioritizes love, but that's complicated because everyone sees it differently, right? Like that's literally what I look for in a partner, is someone who's loving, who wants to be positive and productive and supportive and there for me, and wants to like help me achieve my goals, and I can help them achieve their goals, and we can progress together. A lot of relationships I've had, it just doesn't work that way at all. It's just like people who want to create drama and argue and conflict, and there's no forward progression. It's just stagnation. They're just like, they force these scenarios where there's nothing but stagnation. And it's like, not just like relationship stagnation, right? Because I'm okay with the relationship stagnating, like not moving forward, because there really isn't all that much for a relationship to move forward a lot of the time. Like, besides, what I mean is the relationship getting healthier, right? Not like progressing towards marriage or kids or anything, but the relationship functioning in a more healthy, productive way. And also, ultimately, though, my frustration with that is that it's almost more of like a life thing. It's almost like less to do with the relationship and more to do with just functioning as two people who are in each other's lives. I want to live a positive, happy, productive life. I also want a successful relationship, but I want both. And that's not that much to ask for. And the exact issue that I struggle with dating is getting people to be that, to be exactly what you're describing, someone who prioritizes love. And I think the only way you can properly prioritize love is to be there for the other person, to show love through, there's a lot of ways to show it, not only through affection and stuff, but through like being supportive, being there, being willing to help me work through my issues, which are never like major issues. It's like, all right, I'm having to spend some time, I'm working a lot, I'm focusing on these such goals. So just don't create a giant don't choose to start an argument with me while I'm at work. Don't text me just because you're bored and start an argument with me because you want to feel like arguing. Like stuff like that. Like, don't bring all this craziness and conflict into my life, is literally all I mean. That's kind of, so to me, that's what prioritizing love is prioritizing the person that you're with. Being like, hey, I want to be have a positive and good impact on this person because I love them and I love myself and I want them to be that same way towards me. That's how I see it. And I think that's kind of how you see it as well. It's just, I feel like you're kind of like lost in the weeds. And I don't know. It's cool to react to one of your early videos and then react to one of your later videos. And your opinion has changed on a lot of stuff, or you've gotten at least a deeper perspective on it. It's just, there's still definitely a lot of things to work on. But yeah, who knows? I'm excited for you to upload more, honestly. So yeah, peace out. See you in the next part.